Hi, I'm Dr. Shadma Parveen. I'm a thought leader, an academician, a corporate trainer, a strategy consultant, and a mentor. 31st December 2019, time 11:59 p.m. I was with my family at Marjan Island, Ras Al Khaimah, ready to embrace 2020 with open arms and a positive mind. Some 20,000 people were gathered to witness the world record for the longest fireworks display. Everyone present over there was excited and ecstatic. And why not? 2020 was such an iconic year. The last decade went pretty well. We had witnessed some history-defining occasions like world's first iPad, artificial intelligence, the SpaceX reusable rocket, cryptocurrencies, machine learning, Internet of Things, and the list is long. Most of the world's major economies were also growing. We were evolving, and so was healthcare sector. We had developed some state-of-the-art technologies like robotics, Internet of Things in medicine, and many advanced equipments. On the other hand, most of the businesses and corporate houses were also doing well, and they had developed many optimized practices and processes like work from office system, physical presence to be mandatory in the meetings. They were least concerned about things like social distancing, and you can easily find people encroaching your personal space. We had OSAS, but perhaps occupational hygiene was not included in its ambit. We had technology, but I could say that the use of technology was very limited. For example, we have never realized the importance of virtual presence until we got stuck with the deadly virus, COVID-19. Now that one event had impacted our lives and society that we thrive in. I must say change is inevitable, but at the same time, sometimes it happens that in order to survive, we really have to change ourselves forcibly, that too in a very short span of time. One fine day, we got to know about a viral infection. Initially, there were few cases, followed by a couple of hospitalizations, and few people lost their lives. A Chinese ophthalmologist, Dr. Li Weilang, probably was the sole warrior who was trying to convince people about this contamination. But we, with the state-of-the-art technologies, with Nobel laureates in medicine, we were bound to become complicit, isn't it? And we did that. As this deadly virus started spreading like a wildfire initially, most of the governments shrugged it off like a seasonal flu. Weeks and months passed, and this deadly virus started engulfing countries by leaps and bounds, claiming millions of lives. Despite of all the technological know-hows, we humans, we were being overpowered by a minuscule microbe. At that point in time, it felt like end of times. Most of the world countries, they declared a state of healthcare emergency. Everything was shut down. School, colleges, stock markets, product markets. Supply chains were disrupted. I remember for months, we were dumbstruck, trying to figure out how to manage this menace. Most of the world economies, they succumbed to COVID-19. And we had witnessed how the GDP fell for almost all the countries. Be it USA, where GDP fell to minus 3.64%, Japan, when it fell to minus 4.58%, India minus 7.25%, China at 2.348%. Before COVID-19, USA was enjoying its longest economic expansion on record, but 2020 was altogether a different story, when its GDP to debt ratio increased to 128%. And the scenario was same for most of the countries, including China at around 67%, Japan at 266%, Germany at 70%, and United Kingdom at 95%. People were panicked and scared. There was absolute scarcity of body of knowledge about COVID-19. with no line of treatment. There was complete hue and cry and hysteria among people. Unemployment rates increased in countries like USA to 8.31%, India to 7.11%, Germany to 4.31%, and China to 5%. Businesses were impacted badly. COVID-19 had caused physiological and psychological impact on us, on our society. The death of a family member was a trauma. The pain was immense. And in most of the countries, even the dead bodies were not handed over to the bereaved family. We had seen how the top world economies and their robust healthcare systems collapsed. We have seen people dying due to lack of oxygen, due to lack of space, medical equipment, treatment, medicines. Now that was a moment of truth for all of us as humanity. We need to ask ourselves, had we progressed enough? Are we prepared to manage such eventualities? Can a minuscule microbe outsmart and outspace us from all four corners? We need to understand that we can innovate only when we are alive. The year 2020 and 2021 has shown us mirror in terms of our capabilities and capacities. But we as humans, we have also proved that we are resilient and we can stand even when everything around us seems to be falling apart. And we did that. We had witnessed how, within no time, everything was moved on a remote platform. Businesses and employees, they worked together and devised new strategies, despite of their personal setbacks, with them and their family members being infected. In fact, this was the time when most of the business houses, they realized the importance of people. Another very important concept came up during pandemic: herd immunity, with such a strong message that if we want to be safe, we have to ensure that people around us are safe. If we want to survive, we have to make sure that the people around us, they are able to survive. We had witnessed how we as a community, we have evolved in terms of emotional intelligence, empathy, and compassion. This collective belief, perhaps, I believe that is the most significant evolution of mankind so far. During this crisis, especially during the second wave, we have seen how people struggled in countries like India. We had seen how people, they were running from pillar to post in order to fetch few liters of oxygen for their suffocating patients. The graveyards were full of dead bodies, and the cremation grounds were full of burning dead body pyres. Who can forget that dreadful picture of long queue of dead bodies waiting for their last rituals? Or thousands of dead bodies floating on the banks of river. Perhaps physically, the year 2020 has left us, but psychologically, it's still haunting us, and it will keep on haunting us for years to come. When I look back the last 2 years, I can see a lot of damage, a lot of devastation. But at the same time, I can see some green shoots which this pandemic has shown us. Perhaps these are the learnings that need to be sustained in the society. Perhaps this is the moment of realization, awakening, and introspection. We need to understand that we can survive in symbiosis and collaboration. We had witnessed how our researchers, scientists, and think tanks, they worked together and they developed COVID-19 vaccine within such a short span of time. I really wonder what miracles they can do if they all work together at international level. This pandemic has also taught us that we need to be more proactive, because catastrophe not always comes knocking at the door. We have to rely more on people rather than technology. Artificial intelligence is important, but people are invaluable. I repeat, artificial intelligence is important, but people are invaluable. At this juncture, where we are standing right now, we had made substantial progress. And with so many variants and mutations of COVID-19 coming up, We have to make sure that we are not going back to the previous system, to the old systems, unless and until they are foolproof from any virus and infection spread. Wherever we see government, people, individuals, corporates, everyone is rushing to go back to the old systems. But my point here is, why can't we accept the change? Why can't we accept that we had tried certain alternatives and those have worked well? With such advanced technologies, why can't we adopt a more hybrid approach for future? And we can switch over and shift certain low impact profiles perhaps permanently on a remote platform. Because now onwards, our main focus should be to make sure that in future, this world is not going to witness what we had seen in countries like USA, Italy, and India during pandemic. 2 years since the onset of COVID-19, it's time for us to remember and realize what damages it has caused, both direct and indirect damages. We have to deep dive and re-strategize our modus operandi. We have to switch over to more contingent ways of working, which includes things like commitment, compassion, communication, creation, coaching, collaboration. There are few things which we as community, we have to make sure that will be enforced in our society in future. Probably these are the way forward, which includes things like building up a community which is more aware. So we are not waiting for certain guidelines. We are aware of practicing certain things like wearing masks, social distancing, personal hygiene, social hygiene. We are a community that is supportive. We are a community which is more resilient, which is more aware. Perhaps we have to bring and practice Kaizen and emotional intelligence. We have to invest more on intersectoral collaboration because we have seen how countries were left behind during pandemic. We cannot claim that we are a progressive community unless and until there exist inequalities in terms of health and wealth in nations. So we have to see the seed, that's the social, economic, environmental design of healthcare. We have to invest more on healthcare to make our healthcare system and our healthcare professionals more robust, to build up their capacity. Government need to ensure that the 100% dependency on imports will be reduced, especially when it comes to medicine and medical equipments. Perhaps we need to revise OSAS and include occupational hygiene in its ambit. Governments also need to be proactive by involving more civilians in crisis management team, by somehow creating a special task force which will help in crisis at the ground level. Countries must follow the WHO norm of 1 doctor per 1,000 patients. And last but not the least, whosoever are formulating the guidelines, be it government or business houses, they have to make sure that they have due awareness about the anxieties and fears of people, especially when their life and when their freedom are going to be impacted. The loss due to COVID-19 cannot be reversed. We cannot go into the past and change anything, but we can build up a good future. We can build up a better future on the foundations of collaboration, communication, commitment, emotional intelligence, empathy, compassion, awareness, preparedness. From now onwards, the why of every action, like for example, why are we innovating? Why are we progressing? Why are we bringing artificial intelligence in different industries? Why are we exploring new opportunities? And the answer to all these whys should be only one: to save and serve the humanity. I repeat, to save and serve the humanity. Then only we can say that yes, we are a truly progressive community.